In my last video, I talked about my discrete ham radio install. That's what I'm calling it. And I wanted to show you really quick how that works. So come along with me and I'll show you how it works. If you look inside the vehicle, you don't see some radio face, nothing. You just see beautiful Land Rover dashboard. You don't see any of this. This, I'm holding it upside down. This is a Yaesu FTM200 radio. Now normally you'd have to find somewhere in this vehicle to mount this face because you don't want the whole radio body somewhere. So I looked at mounting it up there, I looked at mounting it over here, looked at mounting it over here, and there's just nothing great. So there's also like a CD mount where you can mount it to the CD. You stick this thing in there and it kind of hangs up, but it bounces around. It's no good. I didn't like that. I really didn't want this hanging around in my interior. And not only that, but I think these Yaesu radios they're kind of good, but they're so behind the times, and they're so, I feel like the software on these radios is like beta software anymore. They're so clunky and awful to use. So I decided to go with something called a Vero VGC N7500. It's a Chinese radio, but it's like, at least they're trying, unlike these guys. So anyway, so the radio body is mounted underneath the rear seat here. Hopefully it's bright enough. Yeah, it's bright enough. So there is the radio body right here. It's pretty small little radio. There's just a void here on top of this bracket. So I use 3M, what do they call it? 3M, it's a double-sided tape. It's a very, very high bond, VHB. Really good tape. I mean, that thing is, I'm moving the whole car. That stuff is not going anywhere, as they say. So anyway, that's where the radio body is mounted. So the wiring kind of comes through over here. And you can't see the wiring, that's kind of the whole idea. The wiring comes underneath the scuff plate, runs up through here, up underneath the carpet, and through the firewall where there's a grommet. And pops out over here. You can see my wires coming through here, and then they run up here. And what I did is I wired this up to the auxiliary start-stop battery instead of wiring this to my primary battery. I kind of like this because this battery isn't as important as the main battery. If I leave the radio on, or for some reason I should get some kind of drain on that battery, or on this battery, it's not as critical as the main battery. I don't know, I tell myself that anyway. This battery costs $300 though, so if it drains, I'm pretty bummed out. But anyway, that's that. So then you can see here my antenna wire. I'm using a diamond lip mount antenna mount. So this runs up through here, runs all the way across the cowl, and it pops out right here. Nice thin wire, not your typical radio, SO239 connector type wire. What is it? I can't think of the name of that wire. But anyway, this is a much thinner cable, a lot easier to work with. So this comes up here, and then you can see here where the lip mount is on the inside here with these two screws. Nice and firm. I mean, that is really strong. And then, it sits there on the hood. I'm using the Comet 2x4. Really good antenna. All band antenna. Does all the ham radio bands, does GMRS, FRS, public safety, and pretty much everything you could want. And here I'll show you what that looks like with the hood closed. All right, now with the hood closed, you can now see the antenna in its correct position. I don't love having antennas on my vehicles, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So that is what it looks like. And that mount is plenty strong, very strong. And I've got the spring on this antenna too, so I've got a lot of give if I should hit a tree or anything like that. So having shown you how the radio is mounted under the seat and whatnot, then you have to ask yourself, Don, where's the radio? How do you interact with the radio? How do you do it? Well, it's simple, right here. This is all you see of the radio. So you can see it here, and the cable runs down underneath the seat there, and I've got it arranged so it doesn't get snagged in the seat track or anything. So this is a magnetic mount, nice little magnet mount right there, and the speaker for the radio is in the microphone, which is beautiful because I don't need a separate speaker. And the microphone's quite nice. It sounds about the sound quality of an HT radio. Pretty decent. And it gets pretty loud if you need it to. I customized this because I didn't like the magnet that it came with. So I super glued this little piece of metal on here, and this is like a phone mount. This is also 3M VH bead, not going anywhere. And that's how I interact with the radio in terms of, you know, transmitting and receiving. But now, what about the face? I don't have one of these. I don't have this, so how do I change channels? How do I do all that? Well, the beauty of this radio is that it's a Bluetooth radio. So all of that stuff happens over Bluetooth on my phone. So I don't need a separate item, face or anything. It's all on the phone. It's beautiful. The app is kind of garbage, to be honest. The app sucks, but it works well enough. The app also has this map view, so you can see like your APRS stations. It does do APRS. The radio itself doesn't have a GPS in it, but it uses your phone as the GPS, which is pretty nice. And then so what I do is I mount my phone right here in this little mount with that radio Bluetooth app open, and I can just totally interact with it. And that is the most discreet radio install that I could think of to do for this vehicle, and I'm really happy with it. I got enough cord on this I can reach, you know, pretty far, reach anywhere I need to. So there you have it. That's how I installed my ham radio in my Land Rover LR4 without it being too obnoxious or obvious. And you could do this in any vehicle. It's not unique to this vehicle, but it is unique to that radio. You can't really do that with many other radios. I don't know of another Bluetooth radio that is as good as this. And this radio puts out about 40 watts on UHF and I think 50 watts on VHF. And it will do GMRS, FRS, ham, all of that. Not that you're supposed to do all that, but it can in an emergency. It's technically a ham radio, not a GMRS radio. But it doesn't have any locks. It's not locked into any particular bands or anything like that, so it's wide open. So yeah, it's a great radio. I love the install, super happy with it. Love this antenna. It's a great antenna, does all the things I need to. And yeah, hope you like that, and we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, one more thing. The UPS man just came, dropped off all of these fluids. We got your front diff fluid. We've got the transfer case fluid, rear locking diff fluid, and a bunch of ZF lifeguard, as well as an actual ZF pan and filter. I'm going to be making a video of putting all these fluids in, coming up here soon, and pretty excited about that. Doing that ahead of my big Colorado trip, so I'm on fresh fluids for that. So stay tuned.